Hello, this week we're going to be discussing Antonin Dvorak. He is probably the best known composer to come from the Czech Republic. For a long time it was known as Czechoslovakia, but then the wall fell and now it's the Czech Republic again. He wrote this particular piece of music in Spillville, Iowa. He was in the United States to visit, they call it a commune. It was where a whole bunch of people from the Czech Republic had relocated to America. And while he was here, he spent some time there. He also came to America so he could be, for 3 years, the director of the National Conservatory of Music in America. What they were trying to do was establish a national school for American-style composing. And, of course, they had to go to the Europeans to get all the teachers, because we were still a relatively young country. So they were patterning this after the Paris Conservatory or the Royal College in London, but they started this, and I believe the location is now where Carnegie Hall stands in New York City. But at the time it was just a standalone building in the middle of nothing. He was kind of a child prodigy a little bit on the violin, and he also was quite an accomplished organist. So he made his name as a performer, and then later he became known as a composer. He was very, very well received throughout Europe. In fact, another composer who was firmly established by the time he started writing, Johannes Brahms, constantly gave Dvorak encouragement and advice throughout his career. What that means is he probably helped him by paying some of his bills and let him tag along to some of Brahms' performances. So you got to know him pretty well. The specific piece of music we're going to look at today is a string quartet. And there's a standard instrumentation for string quartets: 2 violins, 1 viola, 1 cello. There's a little bit of variation in that in like 0.5% of the literature, but if somebody says string quartet, it's going to be 2 violins, 1 viola, 1 cello. He wrote this particular piece, called the American String Quartet, over the course of 16 days. Most composers that work out a piece like this, it can take years, because you have to have thematically connected material that goes through all the movements. 4 movements is standard for a piece like this. There is a unifying kind of element throughout this entire piece, and you'll hear a lot of it in the 4th movement that we're going to hear today, and that's the pentatonic scale. It's like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. You hear those notes, and only those notes. If you think of the black keys on a piano, it's that sound, and you hear this in a lot of cultural music around the world. It's not endemic to the United States. While he was writing this, he had another little project he was working on, which did take him quite a lot longer, but he also wrote his Symphony No. 9, which is called the New World Symphony, and that's probably his best known piece. In the professional string world, this American quartet is considered standard literature, and if you're going to make a living as a player, you would need to know this particular piece. Another interesting thing he did, I think is in the 3rd movement of this. He actually was listening to a bird outside his window, and he liked the tune that the bird was singing, so he wrote it down. And he used that little bird song in the violin part in his 3rd movement of this piece. So, okay, let's take a little listen to some string quartet music.
I'm Kathy Fuller in our Fraser Performance Studio with the Cypress String Quartet.
So why do you think the cello player is elevated on that little box that they have there? Tell you, it's not because she's more important than the other players. She might think that, but no. A lot of times you see soloists and sometimes small groups will do this because the vibrations from the instrument are transferred through the tailpiece and the end pin all the way down to the floor, and if she's on an elevated platform, that'll help amplify her part. You'll notice how much eye contact they have going on. It's really important in a small group like this with no conductor that the musicians find some other way to communicate. So eye contact is great. You can hear them speeding up and slowing down together very effectively. That also means they have to know their parts inside and out. Alright, that's just a little snippet of the fourth movement. I would encourage you to listen to the rest of this video on your own, and if you enjoy it, look up the entire piece. The first movement is really interesting, and then also see if you can hear that little bird song in the third movement. Okay, we'll look at some more next week.